possibility, but
Yes.
you were able to salvage, that extra 27% by being on satellite.
The other side of this.
Okay.
So that has led them to, again, where I've been told repeatedly over and over again, they are not going to allow this going forward. Now let's go to the business side of things, okay? Root Sports was owned by a group, and that was the Mariners ownership group and AT&T Sportsnet, which is Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Brothers Discovery sold their shares off. They have gotten out of the RSN game. As of January 1st, the Mariners ownership group took full 100% control of Root Sports. Why does that matter? Well, remember we talked about the Mariners being broke boys and selling off on players? That's because they have rights deals with not only the Portland Trail Blazers, but the Seattle Kraken, which means they have to pony up for those rights. Okay, so you go down this list now. If the Blazers are not happy with their coverage and the Mariners ownership group is crying poor through their actions, there's a pretty strong likelihood that both parties are going to come together and try to figure out a way out of this. Because it's very clear that the Mariners are not in this to spend money. And the coverage and carriage that you're getting, the Kraken minority owner, Todd Lukey, I tried to find this tweet, and I have asked people in the industry to see if they could find it. I believe he's taking it down because his legal team would probably said, hey, bud, we need you to take that down. But he said something akin to the line of, this is about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. We're aware of what's going on with Root Sports, and we will make adjustments as necessary to make sure our fans have access to whatever. Essentially saying what we all know is coming, and that Root is probably going to go the way of Bally Sports or Diamond Sports Group, which is to say it will be propped up by their owners or MLB with baseball, and eventually it will go away. For the Trailblazers, they're looking at this and going, there's every one of these contracts, these TV deals have outs. They have clauses for them, the triggers. Lawyers will be involved and are involved because the Trailblazers are going to look at this and go, okay, we're not going to allow this. Now, how much of that inventory, whether it's all of it, most of it, or some of it, that's kind of all up in the air because the thing you have to remember is Root owes the Trailblazers money for the rights. Do the Trailblazers just want to wipe their hands of that and say no because their inability to deliver? In most contracts, you say no. So you're going to get some pretty angry folks on both sides in a room. There's going to be some frustration. There's going to be some ego, and there's going to be lawyers. But how that shakes out, I think very strongly that you're going to see the Trailblazers get most of, if not all of their inventory back. And you're going to see them do a world across over the air. And that is your local broadcast companies. Again, sources directly familiar with the process have told me that in the coming weeks, the Trailblazers have an opportunity and an opening in their window that allows them to have direct talks with local broadcast companies. And that includes Fox 12, Coin 6, KGW, and CW. And why does that matter? When you're talking about over-the-air broadcasting, not every station has the ability to push over the air to all of the markets because Portland the Trailblazers have a footprint. They own Washington. They own Alaska. They own parts of Idaho into Utah and Nevada. That's down into California.
That's their regional territory.
That is their regional territory. Hell, the Trailblazers own a piece of Las Vegas. I believe 7 teams own rights in Las Vegas, as weird as that is. But so you've got to find different networks. Let's say Coin, which is owned by Nexstar, has the same company owns a company in Seattle, a broadcast company in Seattle, a channel in Seattle. And they want to be able to broadcast there, but they don't have the carriage to be able to do it in Portland. So maybe Tegna, which is KGW, gets the Portland rights, and the Seattle rights go to the Nexstar company in Seattle. And so you kind of find on piecemeal all this stuff together to kind of be able to figure it out. So that's itself the over-the-air situation. It's trying to work through all of that. The next part of this is if they get their rights back from Root, they'll own their streaming rights. And through my conversations with stakeholders and with the Trailblazers, over the past 2 years, they have very, very, very staunchly said they want to do a direct-to-consumer option, very similar to the Utah Jazz. The Jazz have Jazz Plus, which is $125.50.
Bring back Blazer Vision!
Which is essentially what this is, but direct-to-consumer.
Blazer Vision.
On a streaming option.
Paul
And
Allen ahead of his time.
he won by 25 years. The guy knew what he was doing. The interesting thing about the Jazz solution is it's $125, gets you 2 tickets and a hat and every game. And it also gets you shoulder programming.
So 2 tickets to one singular game.
Yep, of a list of like 20.
Okay.
So think about the value of that.
And a hat.
And a hat.
Again, throw the hat out. Just think about this. If it's let's say it's a very cheap game, $20 a ticket kind of a deal.
Hats are expensive.
Drop $40 off of 125. You're essentially paying $85 or $1 a game to be able to watch your team. Would you pay $1 a game to watch your team?
100%. And I get a hat.
And you get a hat.
The other part of this is you also have you're sending content directly to your fans. So what you do is you get shoulder programming built around that. The trail.
Yeah.
And you start getting more of that stuff basically beams directly to the brains of your fan base. And you're building that fan base. And if you're wondering about the over-the-air stuff and how successful it is or isn't, the Phoenix Suns were the first ones to dive into this model. And in this model, in just this year alone, their viewership is up 95%.
Yeah, I would assume that Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal and, well, I guess maybe not Bradley Beal because he hasn't been playing all that much this year, but having a good team, that plays into it. But the accessibility is the main thing here. And when you go from losing 2/3 of your viewer base and the accessibility for 2/3 of your fans to having full coverage over the air, that is invaluable. And it's a smart move, and I think we're going to start seeing more of the local over the air happening across sports, not just in Portland.
No, you're going to the NBA in particular. Your number one thing that's going to happen with the new media rights deal, blackouts are probably going away.
Hey,
So that's going to be a big part of this.
All right, and there we go. That's Talking Blazers. That's good stuff, man. And I think that's stuff that's good that actually impacts the fan base moving forward because there's going to be a lot of people making full-scale changes because of that in how they have their cable and their television now. All right, 503-864-6326. An all-time story from Derrick Henry on the greatest college football coach of all time next on The Fan. People will take in the Portland Trailblazers. Got good news for you. This YouTube stream back up. It's back up and running again. It's been off and on. We've been having some interviews.
We gave the hamsters some meth, and now we're off.
That's right. That's right. They'll keep trucking all along. They'll lose. Their hearts will explode, and then boom, they'll be right back up and running. But youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan. We are on the YouTubes, and we are always also streaming wherever you pick up your Odyssey device. We're streaming live on there, and then we have the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. So The Fan is everywhere and nowhere apparently on YouTube at some points, but they feel that they've resolved the issues that are going on YouTube. Nick Saban has retired, and as he has just kind of slunk off into retirement, we're starting to see more and more stories pop up from his former players about their experiences playing for Nick Saban. And we know of Nick Saban, the red ass, who got upset when they gave him a Gatorade bath after winning a national title. We know of him, always striving for the next national title and kind of getting lost in the sauce and eating what he eats an oatmeal cream pie, a Little Debbie oatmeal cream pie every morning for breakfast.
Does that surprise you?
Not one bit. Not one bit. He is actually, that fits all too well for who Nick Saban is as a person. Like that is football, like a Diet Coke and an oatmeal cream pie. And then what he does is he'll go in and just start preaching about how your diet and your health are so important to you, and the guys need to take care of their bodies. Like that's old man football coach 101 right there.
Well, yeah, no, this is. I mean, he was raised in a time when cocaine and cigarettes were good for you.
Do you think Nick Saban, do you think he smokes cigars? In I know he'll throw one back. I imagine Nick Saban to be a bourbon guy.
Yeah, bourbon, and I
bourbon
bet you,
and a cigar.
I could just see him just ripping darts.
Oh,
like off to the side, the guy that smokes with his hand covering the cigarette.
He does look like he looks like he smoked cigarettes.
Like the guy that peeked around the corner would stick his head around the corner and then take a drag with his hand covering the cigarette and then kind of put it back behind him. Like, I'm not smoking. What are you talking about?
Nick Saban, and I'm not saying this because he's seedy at all, but because it gets a bad rap. Like car salesmen get a bad rap for being seedy or whatever.
Sure.
But Nick Saban has the look of a very successful car salesman. You know what I mean? And it's so fitting that he owns basically all of the Mercedes dealerships in the South. But he has that look about him where it's I could see him ripping some darts and slinging cars to people, like high-end cars, and being really, really good.
Doesn't Saban have car dealerships?
Well, I just said he owns all the Mercedes dealerships in the South. Almost every single Mercedes dealership in the South is a Nick Saban Mercedes.
God. I bet you when it's all said and done, he makes more money off that than he did coaching football.
Well,
significantly more.
It's significantly more. And also his wife is a real estate agent. And that's
hey, you want to meet my husband, Nick Saban?
That's the stay busy. But she's just been gobbling up real estate everywhere. Remember when Texas job opened up after Mac Brown? There was the rumor that his wife was in Austin looking at houses and stuff.
Yeah. Selling.
They probably have more land than what we know it to do with. And it's all high-end stuff, and they probably just flip it left and right. Nick Saban, when it's all said, I'd love to see what his portfolio actually has in it.
I was just saying more land than BLM, but I feel like some people would think Black Lives Matter as opposed to Bureau of Land Management.
Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah.
I have a few buddies that work in the Bureau of Land Management, and they said it was a very confusing time for a lot of folks.
When the Googles would BLM.gov.
Well, and they had just their shirts would have BLM on them, and they're I'm just stumbled out of the woods for a while. That's what I do for my job.
Yeah.
I'm sure that went over well with a lot of the clientele that they see as well.
Some probably not happy, yeah. But Derrick Henry, King Henry, if you will, he went on the Pivot podcast. That's the Ryan Clark podcast. And he shared a Nick Saban story that this is the epitome. We were talking Nick Saban ripping darts, having a bourbon. But then saying, guys, no. The ultimate Nick Saban story.
I mean, we got plenty of stories. I'll tell you a funny one. One time we was in the meetings, because Saban, he old school, couldn't stand if anybody scored, and and wanted to celebrate afterwards. So we in the meeting one day after the game, forgot who we played, and he pulling up film. He's showing everybody. Then he talking about, and you guys, you stop doing all that showboating, doing all that praying hands and acting like you thanking God. And then later on that night, 12 o'clock, you down there, got Black and Miles, got liquor, you chasing. He was like, forget all that. That's just wisdom. We were crying. We couldn't do nothing but laugh because he was right. It's like, you gotta do your prayer here, you get on one knee. Then 12 o'clock comes, you got that smoking Black and Miles on the corner, drinking liquor, smoking. All the time, chasing. Man, that so funny, bro. I was like, bro,
he was tired of y'all.
Yeah, he was tired of us, bro.
He snuck it in there, and I don't know if anybody caught it, but he goes, we were cracking up because he was right.
Yes. Get down on one knee, pray, thank God, prayer hands at midnight, hitting Black and Miles on the corner, drinking liquor, out with women. He was right.
And I can see Nick Saban just being like, right, you guys are out there, you're smoking your Black and Milds and drinking your liquor. I know what you guys are doing, because you know what? Nick Saban knew what every single one of his players was doing after every single game. It is like head coaches have this uncanny ability. Like, they've got feelers out everywhere.
Oh,
where
you're
if
not
a
getting out
player
around that town.
If a player does anything, they know.
Yeah, it's not only that,
They
it's
know.
Tuscaloosa. Like, you're not getting away with anything anywhere. Now, you might get away with it in the sense of authorities. You're not getting away with it from your head coach.
What I love about that is he's upset that you're doing the praying hands and then going getting hammered and smoking Black and Milds and hooking up with girls. He's like, would it be okay in Nick Saban's mind if they were to celebrate a different way and then be out smoking Black and Milds and drinking? Or is it just the praying hands that really got and stuck in his
Their
craw?
celebration is them pretending to smoke a Black and Mild or drink liquor.
That would be pretty
Just
funny.
Pop the top off the ball. And he's like, this is more like it. At
Yeah.
least you're being true to yourself.
Represent.
This is the message we want out of Alabama football. That's right. MD 2020s.
Okay, quick pivot on this. I don't care if we need to go to break or not.
Okay.
We do.
The freaking millennials.
Not
Just-
millennials.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is it?
Gen Zs.
Gen Zs.
Address my generation
Yeah.
with respect,
The
sir.
Zoomers.
Discovering air quotes MD 2020.
No,
do you
they're
think
trying to
helped
do
lead
this?
them?
Yes, they're trying to claim it as their own.
I gave them the roadmap.
Just the dumbest.
on.
And not only that, you don't even have original recipe.
Like, I mean, guys, call me when you find Night Train, okay?
No, that thing's been long gone.
They're trying to claim like we just found this.
No.
No.
Look at this. Look at this drink that I found on the lower shelf, and it was looked pretty good.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're like, because it's what I did with my buddies, where it's like, wait, you mean I can go to the gas station and there's a liquor for $4
But-
and I can buy this? That's all they're doing. They're going on TikTok and being like, guys, guess what? You can buy cheap wine.
Okay, because you know what all this is TikTok has replaced like the senior in
The
high school
news.
who's like, hey, you know what you need to do for cheap? Or when you get to college, it's like, hey, you know what the cheap way is?
Yeah.
It used to be just word of mouth.
Yeah.
Now it's just on TikTok like, I found this hack. It's like, no, you didn't. It's nothing special.
No, somebody else told you, dummy.
Everybody knows Orange Jubilee.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, the quote, fruit punch.
Yeah.
Right?
Jungle juice.
It just tasted awful. It's gasoline that you're drinking.
Whoa. Light blue was good. Grape was good.
No,
No.
grape is
No,
not
grape is
good.
Grape
never
is
good.
good.
No.
It's never good.
I'll power rank them
Grape
for
is
you really quick.
always good.
I'll go blue, Orange Jubilee, fruit punch, then you go. So I'm going orange because this is easier. We'll
Yes,
just use
colors.
colors.
Yeah.
Orange, blue, red, purple.
There's a giant gap before you get to purple.
A very large
Purple's higher up. You guys are wrong.
gap. Mm-mm.
You would ride the Grimace train.
Yeah, the purple
I don't know
was,
what that means.
if you've ever had like legit moonshine, you get like this
Yeah.
stem of your brain just like, ah! That's purple.
It also
Purple does
sets
that
your
to you.
stomach on fire.
Yeah, it
Wakes you
does.
up.
Yeah, it does. Ugh.
Gross.
Blah.
Well, we talk about this time of
Never
year
again.
and how it's supposed to be warm today. Warmest day of the year so far. Whole 70 degrees.
Sure is.
You know what that means? It means cicadas.
Those are back again?
Yeah, and
We're
they're-
doing this again?
Oh, and they're back with a vengeance. And on our worst day on the web, I have got something that's going to make your skin crawl. We'll get to that
Oh,
first.
great.
Here's Big Will Betts, the Sports Center update.
Now, cicadas are disgusting.
Mostly
Phenomenon.
harmless.
No, they are totally harmless.
Yeah, just
totally harmless.
the only harm that comes is that they're in such volume that they can cause some plant damage.
So they're these little bugs that kind of look like I don't know.
giant fleas.
Yeah, like cockroaches,
Yeah.
kind of. And what they do is they burrow into the ground and into tree trunks.
Mhm.
And there's like, I think there's 7-year cicadas,
13
and 17-year cicadas.
Yep.
And when you have the stagger like this, sometimes we have the years will all line up a little bit.
And right now, you are going to get the largest brood of
Oh, cool.
cicadas since 1803 when Thomas Jefferson was president.
Now, they all like hatch or I don't even know the word, like come out of their hibernation at the same time.
Because it's the
essentially.
temperature in the ground. It gets above like 64 degrees.
And so it just looks like these large swarms of just well, it looks like the
Black clouds.
the locusts, like
Yes.
the biblical, like the day end of days is
Yes,
coming.
but this one might actually be worse because they're saying that
Sweet.
this one is going to have more than 1 million cicadas per acre.
1 million per acre.
Yes. And the
And-
total volume across the country will be in what they call it the quadzillions.
No, I'm out. Now, another reason why living in Oregon is great. We don't have cicadas.
We do not have them here. If you ever, it'll pop up on. Speaking of TikTok, it'll pop up on TikTok when it happens. It sounds like a jet engine taking off
Yeah.
when they all come out because there's so many of them. Also, birds are the happiest thing on the face of the planet.
Like this is crazy. You said like quadzillions.
Yeah.
Like they're basically they stop at
It's the
at,
Mississippi
like,
River
Kansas,
Basin, basically.
in Nebraska. They stop, and it's all basically in the Rust Belt and going up into like the Mid Atlantic.
Yeah.
Like this is Maction. This is what Maction is all
Yes.
about. It's a
Which is why we
flurry
need-
of touchdowns on a Thursday and
It's over with
bugs.
pretty quick.
It gets over, and you don't want to really watch it. You're just kind of like, oh god, and it's carnage. It's carnage everywhere. It's Maction.
The clock is continuously running.
What do cicadas do?
So that's a good question. I don't know.
Because like every animal, they've got a purpose, right? And outside of like being like a smorgasbord for like small animals
Their
to
food
just
chain.
eat, because
Yeah.
they hatch and then die.
Yeah.
That's what they do. It's like hatch, die. How do we need them? Do we need them? I am not for wiping out entire species, but do we need them? And they don't really bother me because I don't live in those areas.
They can aerate lawns and improve water filtration.
That makes sense because here's a fun fact. They have pumps in their head.
What?
They have literal water pumps in their head. So the way that they feed is when they're in
Dang.
trees, they take what's called xylem
Okay.
and they pull it out of the trees. But because it's under negative pressure, they need a pump to pull it out. So they stick with like a hair width pump, like hose into the tree, and pump the water out with the nutrients. That's how they feed, and they just sit there and do that. And they do the same thing in the ground.
Yeah, these are death creatures.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get worse. This is where it gets off the rail. You didn't think I was just gonna talk about cicadas just like coming out, right? Because there's more to it than that. Here's a crazy thing: cicadas have the strongest urination flow in the entire animal kingdom.
How
know
do you
what?
measure that?
Good flow is, I mean, just from your body and how much pee you got.
Not just how much, the velocity,
Oh.
strongest flow.
They're the Araldus Chapman of the pea world, is what you're
Yes,
saying?
they
Strong
surpass
stream.
humans and elephants.
Strong stream.
3 meters per second.
Okay, but I mean, tiny little bladder. This probably not even an issue. Like, is this a problem for folks?
No, they're not, like
Oh.
people aren't like pointing at people and, like breaking skin with it, but
Well, I'm just saying, like, is it like like you have these little whiz lasers shooting out of the ground? Like, what is happening here?
it would be pretty.
Why
funny.
is this not an issue at all when they spawn then die? I know that like it is gross to see some of the people's lawns when this happens. Like when the brood hatches and they all just like come up and then just die. It's disgusting to see like people just out there raking them up, and you just have to deal with them. Have we paved? Like, are we paving over the 13 to 17 years? I'm assuming that we're developing a lot of this land here.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's good for it, right? I mean,
I feel like we're not. I feel like we're killing a lot of them as
mean,
we're building our houses
they can
already.
dig over around the outside. Another interesting cicada fact, and this goes great with the
When do they hatch? Is
when
the thing.
when the ground temperature gets above 64 degrees.
Okay, so are we anticipating
Yeah,
this to happen
in like the next week or two. Yeah.
Oh, so like in the South, we quite possibly could have a solar eclipse.
Yes. No. They're
Like
actually
over
feeding
Tennessee,
into this. Yes.
Like you have the solar eclipse and then the cicadas. All of a sudden, like
end of times.
this is going to be a big deal. We're already hearing about it because people are like they're having their premonitions or whatever, and they're predicting the end of times because the solar eclipse happens. And I don't know. A few years ago, we had one here. Didn't see much happen outside of the sun getting blocked by the moon for a little bit.
It was pretty cool though.
It was awesome.
You could actually feel the air temperature change.
But what they're going to have now is they're going to have this. They're going to equate it to the locusts, and they're going to go biblical times, and the end of the world is happening from Mexico to Canada because that's like the pathway of the solar eclipse. I'm here for it. I'm here for everybody to lose their S. Get their bunkers. We're gonna have a toilet paper shortage throughout the South.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
So remember The Last of Us, the spores, the
Yeah.
fungus taking over.
Great.
Guess what? There's one that's prevalent in cicadas and takes over about 10% of the population.
Of the cicadas.
The white fungus takes over the male. Their gonads are torn from their body, and their chalky spores are spread to nearby cicadas. The insects are not sterilized, not killed. This way, the fungus uses the cicadas to spread to others.
Oh, great.
Here's so we're starting the fungus spread. Here's another thing. It's also bird acid. The fungus is also the type that has
Bird acid?
The fungus is also the type that has hallucinatory effects on birds that eat them.
Oh, cool. So we have like
Tripped out birds.
yeah, birds on LSD out there tripping balls, flying into the sides of buildings. This is going to be great. This is again another reason why living in the Pacific Northwest not that bad. Not that bad, folks.
You don't have acid birds, insect overload on top of eclipses.
Man, I want nothing to do with these.
If I'm being serious, this sounds pretty metal.
No, it doesn't.
No?
No, nope.
Drunked
we
out
do have we
demon
have
birds?
Okanaga cicadas are found in Oregon.
Oh.
Yeah, 13 to 17 years they happen
Apparently they're not around here.
around the Portland area.
I've never seen one.
Yeah, it is found near the Portland metro area. Oh, and then it says Estacada, etc.
Yeah, that's why. There you go. Yeah.
That ain't it,
They
boss.
don't make it this far because they probably die by the time they probably can't even cross the river.
The 13 to 17 year ones, the ones that we're talking about here, they don't exist out here. And
Okay.
they shouldn't.
Yeah, no, they're so big. Each colony has their own brood.
Nope.
Like there's brood 29 and brood 14. And,
I'm out.
Yeah.
Is there a 10-barrel brood? Brewed in like a barrel? Do they mix them, hybrid brews?
Yikes.
Like they take an 8-year and a 10-year and they mix them together?
I got an idea where I can stick a cold brew right now.
Where?
Yeah, Danny, where?
Coming up next, the Cardinals are getting it stuck to them. What the hell did they do, and what do they have to do for it? Danny and Dusty, Today the Fan.
Thanks.
Yes.
Hey, yeah. I wonder if we can add this one to the case file of stupidity as it pertains to the Arizona Cardinals.
Fair enough.
The Cardinals have lost. Again, the Cardinals have lost an arbitration hearing. For the first time ever, an owner is going to be forced to pay a defamation suit of $3 million.
This is and this is actually, it is a landmark case in that
On multiple
the-
sides.
the NFL set up an independent arbitrator to hear a case between the Cardinals and Terry McDonough, who was their former president of the team. And remember, this came out, I think, January 2023, he was fired. And by February, he was making the rounds saying, look, I have to defend myself because the Cardinals started leaking essentially a dossier of information that they had been compiling against Terry McDonough. And he was like, they are trying to make sure I don't get another job anywhere else because he blew the whistle on the team wanting to use burner phones when Steve Keim, their general manager, was suspended. And he was like, look, they were trying to get me to use burner phones. I didn't want to do it. They fired me because of it. And now they're coming at me saying and trying to ruin my character, and I'm not going to have any of it. He sued for $90 million in damages.
Man went big.
He went big, and he only got 3.
But the fact that he got 3 is huge because, number one, a public figure winning a defamation lawsuit
Is very hard to do.
doesn't happen. Number two, this is the first time an NFL owner has lost one of these cases.
And it was set up by the NFL. Like the
Which-
NFL had an independent arbitrator see this case, and he still got $3 million. And now they filed this in federal court because of the fact that he wants to make sure the Cardinals pay, and because they had the arbitrator come in and he found in his favor, they put it in federal court, so the Cardinals will have to pay the $3 million because they went after McDonough. The personal shots that they took.
It was nasty work.
They accused him of battering his ex-wife, of abandoning his special needs daughter, who is an adult. And these are the things that you have to prove you did not do with this independent arbitrator, and he was able to do it. His wife said, no, that never happened. The daughter, they proved that he had not abandoned her financially. And even Bidwell, McDonough was to the point where in 2019, when they were in contract negotiations, said, I want to be closer to my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And Bidwell offered up, hey, you can still live in North Carolina where she lives, and you can do your job from there. That's not abandoning your special needs daughter.
This is very, what is it? Piss poor planning leads to poor execution.
Yep.
If you're going to set somebody up to be the fall guy so you don't have to pay them out, be better about your electronic trail.
Well, and what they were leaking to the media, which is lowbrow anyway, is they were leaking to the media that he, was a domestic abuser.
Mhm.
And this part of the story is wild, is that apparently years prior, Larry Fitzgerald, while he was playing for the Cardinals, got a letter from his ex-wife's dad who accused McDonough of spousal abuse.
That doesn't seem like any kind of retribution.
Larry Fitzgerald, being the decent human that he is, was like, I don't know what to do with this. So he took it to ownership, and he said, here. Their answer to this was not addressing it with McDonough because they didn't believe the claims. It was to just put it in his personal file for a time that they could use it.
Which, to be totally clear, is not something that's all that uncommon
But
at that highest of levels. But also, to my point, if you're going to be dirty, you've got to dot your I's and cross your T's.
And you better
Which-
make sure that letter is true, because if it was proven not to be true, which it was,
Yep.
they're now going to be in $3
Oh,
million.
no way, a vindictive ex-father-in-law? No, shocking.
$3 million is a nothing burger to the Bidwells.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because they'll write that as a team expense, and the Arizona Cardinals
It's going
going
to be a tax.
to cut the check for that. But what is interesting is, what does the NFL do now? Because now you've had a ruling against them. The NFL did nothing with the cell phone gate, with the burner phones. that they were trying to use was when Steve Keim was suspended. They did nothing when this arbitration hearing came to a conclusion that the Bidwells and the Cardinals owe McDonough $3 million. What are they going to do? Are they going to do anything in this case? Because we know this notoriously, the Bidwell family is not liked by their players, sure as hell not by their fans, or they're not really highly well regarded around league circles either. And so what does the NFL do with this new information and the fact that it's a damaging piece of evidence against the league that one of your organizations was trying to cover something up, and then not only were they trying to cover it up, but they did it by trying to defame the executive who blew the whistle on it.
Which is the exact kind of thing that whistleblowers protection exists for.
That's right.
Oh, weird. Hey, remind me again, what was Dan Snyder's ultimate downfall?
Well, his emails. And John Gruden, too. Hey, you see John Gruden has a new gig?
No.
Yeah. He's an advisor for a team in Europe now.
I mean,
I think it's in Parma. I think he's in
Ooh.
Parma.
He's with the Panthers?
No. The Parma Panthers?
Yes, I know Italian football.
Yeah.
Not
yeah,
the
is,
Permian Panthers.
I believe he
No,
is.
the
with,
Parma Panthers is an organization
I'm
out in
giving you
Italy.
hell.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm
he is-
Italian.
I believe he is. Oh, that's a good callback. I believe he's with the Parma Panthers. I believe that is true. No. He's coaching the Seamen.
Oh.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Sevilla?
In Greece?
The Milano Seamen.
Oh.
In Italy, but the Milano Seamen. That's who John Gruden is advising now.
Hangs out with Odysseus.
I'm sorry, hangs out with who?
Odysseus?
Oh boy,
Is that not how you pronounce that name?
No.
Well, it's in the Odyssey. Whatever. Homer wrote it. Shut up.
You
That's
got,
Greek, not
you
Italian.
got there. You said Odyssey.
An Odyssey station.
Are we named after him?
Totally the same spelling.
Girl,
Yeah.
you something else.
Whatever, man. I read that book.
All right. Coming up next, the Portland Trailblazers go down to the wire against the Orlando Magic, and the league say they might have gotten something wrong. Coming up here in hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty today, the Fan.
God dang.
going straight to my brainstem. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan, we appreciate you. We love you.
Isaac and Suk are coming
Yeah.
up next.
Izachi. It's like Versace.
Oh, that's good. Izache.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got new graphics and banners on the YouTubes.
Mm.
And we gave you all the credit before, and I'm gonna punish you now because
I didn't-
this is in your purview.
Yeah, it falls under my leadership. So
It's under your
I have failed.
Yep, it says coming up next on the new graphics.
Yes.
Izache in Suk.
I did not do those, but again,
like
it's,
Izache,
it's,
though.
it's under my purview, so I will take responsibility.
Yeah, it's okay.
Lead from the front, buddy.
Lead from the
Absolutely.
front. Even though you did deflect, you just
Little bit,
deflected
little bit.
a lot.
A little
You just said it's not me, but I'll take the blame.
There you go.
I like that.
Just
I like that.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Indeed.
That's right.
Saw a lot of
Angel
that.
Reese.
Yeah, I got really tired of that crap last night.
I thought it was just fine. Putting the crown on the bench before they were warming up. Yes,
Yeah,
we want this.
No. I'm talking about the post game.
Oh,
Oh, it's okay, Queen, and it's like, no, they got run off the floor. It's okay.
Yeah. I actually her comments though post game.
Yeah.
It is very real that there is this line of like when you want the smoke and then you get it and you're like, I don't want the smoke.
I don't want the
what
smoke.
she was getting was far too egregious. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. There's that line of heckling, like Russell Westbrook arguing with the Charlotte Hornets fan wearing a balloon hat the other night.
Westbrook is fair. He needs to
Westbrook is totally fair,
grow up, Russ.
and he can
Argue until he's blue in the
my
face.
gosh. But yeah, you want the spotlight. You want to be regarded as one of the best of all time. Guess what? All of the best of all time, they got that S talk from fans in opposing arenas, and a lot of it was far worse than just calling you Westbrook, right? But Angel Reese was talking about getting death threats, having racist attacks.
Yeah, that's
sexist
all that
attacks.
crap. Go to hell.
Yeah, get that out. But there is like criticism and heckling. That's all part of stardom, right? In being a public figure, and there is that line that is all too often crossed, and I get that from Angel Reese's perspective. As far as like the crown stuff goes, like if she's in, this is not what she was complaining about, and this is what gets misconstrued, is like people like making fun of, hey, you want to wear that crown, you're going to get a lot of flack for putting that crown on the bench and then taking an L on the way out, right? That's not what she was complaining about, and I don't think that like she would have a problem with it, because you talk that S, sometimes you're going to get that S thrown right back at you. It was the stuff that crossed the line, and we do need to check ourselves on social media,
Yes.
because social media is great. It gives a
Eh.
connection to people, but it also gives quite literally some of the dumbest people in the world
Microphones.
a direct line of communication
Yes.
with those people, with public figures, and that's not a great thing.
Shout out to George Carlin. Just remember, 50% of the population is dumber than that.
Yeah.
It really hurts when you actually do the math. Speaking of doing the math, Portland Trailblazers lost by 60, and they rebound against the Orlando Magic,
Big.
falling in the last second by 1 point.
Great loss. Great rebound game from a 60-point
104-103.
Yep.
Looked a lot better, certainly. Scoot Henderson, 13, 8, and 9. Not entirely efficient. DeAndre Ayton, another solid game, 20 and 12. Able to get it done. You had Jabari Walker out there actually knocking down some
Hey,
threes.
my boy Rupert.
Roops!
Look at that. Knocking down a
Three-
couple threes
three
and
of
actually
6 and 3.
looking like he was like, hey, this is a shot I want to take right now.
Yeah.
Boom. They knew the assignment.
He's
10 in
going
a
to
row
work on
now.
his finishing, but I also think he needs to grow into his big feet.
He's gonna put on that weight.
Yeah.
He's just like, he's
a
so
little-
much like
he's a-
Nick
he-
Batum.
Oh, yeah. He's a little baby deer.
Like he is going to be,
I genuinely think he's
it's
going to be
creepy.
a very good player.
It's so creepy though. Like he's going to put on over the next 3 years, 20 pounds,
20, 25.
and and all of a sudden we're going to be like,
He's already
Oh.
bigger than Nick.
oh, he's a player.
Like he's already bigger than Nick. That's the crazy. Well, I shouldn't say that. He's bigger than Nick was in the young years.
Yeah.
Nick right now is a pretty solid dude.
And to your point yesterday, what the Blazers have done is they have done a very good job of evaluating and compiling guys that are going to be great role players.
In a
whether
couple of
it's
years, for sure.
Tumani Kamara or Ryan Rupert or
Chris Murray,
Chris
Jabari
Murray,
Walker,
Duop Reith coming off the bench.
Delano Banton.
Very few of these guys are starters.
I think two
Tumani
is
Kamara
very
is
clearly
a
a starter on a good team.
Yep, but a role player.
Yeah.
They need stars.
Yes.
In the baddest way possible.
Yeah, they do. One of the guys that they hope that maybe can be, if not a star, a supporting star, Scoot Henderson, had an opportunity last night. And the NBA has now come out with their last 2-minute report to make you feel better and tell you they got the call wrong.
See, this is the loss you want.
Yeah.
You see, this is the loss you want. You
You
lose by one.
You
and-
should have had an opportunity to win, but the refs stole it from you.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, even if Scoot goes to the free throw line, I think a lot of Blazer fans are like, I don't know if we want to make these. I don't know if we want to make these.
But in case you're wondering, yes, the league said at 3.5 seconds there was a shooting foul. It says in the report under the comment, Jalen Suggs initiates contact with Scoot Henderson's arm, and the contact affects Henderson's shot attempt. It was an incorrect non-call.
Hey, there
with
we go.
3.5 seconds left, which would have put Scoot Henderson at the line with the opportunity to win the game, or at least force Orlando to have to make one more shot to win the game.
All right, but as it stands, Blazers still at 19 wins. You're only a game back of San Antonio and a game back of the Charlotte Hornets, who are next up tomorrow for the third worst record in the NBA.
The suck-off.
That's clean. Yeah, it's going to be – that game is only going to be watchable because we all want to watch the car crash, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody slows down and they're like, what's going on here? How bad do you think that one gets?
Oh, it's going to get pretty bad, but here's the thing to add to the level of suckitude.
DeAndre Ayton's back. Is it starting to seize up a little bit?
I'm just going to say the Charlotte Hornets already beat the Trailblazers. So if the Blazers lose tomorrow, not only are they tied with them in the record, the head-to-head tiebreaker would go to the Charlotte Hornets.
Now, if the NBA really wants to avoid tanking, if you have the same record, what if they gave it to the team that actually beat them?
Ooh.
Like if you have a tied record for
adding
lottery,
layers to tanking. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
if they are truly against tanking, what if the NBA is like, no, if you guys have the same record, identical record, we're going to reward the team that actually played well in one of these
or
substitute
the
games.
one that has the higher point differential in the season.
Boy, that 60-point loss.
Those
Portland.
Two of them are going to hurt. That's for sure, because there ain't no 60-point wins in there to offset them. But yeah, no, I think it's an interesting spot to kind of for them to end up in.
Explore that space a little bit.
But in case you're wondering, the math behind this is right now the Portland Trailblazers are 19-56. The Charlotte Hornets are 18-57. If the Trailblazers lose and the Hornets win, you have two teams at 19-57, with the San Antonio Spurs right behind them at 18-57. And you need some help from the Spurs if you're going to move all the way up to number 3. As it turns out, the Spurs looked around and said, I see you, Charlotte and Portland. You're not going to get away with this. And they have shut down Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sohan.
Oh. Can't get too close.
Anything you can do, we can do better. By the way, the Spurs end with Nuggets, Pelicans, 76ers, Grizzlies, Thunder, Nuggets, Pistons.
Grizzlies. They can beat the Grizzlies.
And the Pistons.
Pistons
Pistons have nothing to play for there.
Boy.
Nothing.
And they've been playing tighter games, though.
Sure.
Like
and Wemby's been going off. And I'm sure they're going to get to the point here where they're going to shut Wemby down probably in the final 2. I would imagine. But yeah, this is just squint real hard. It's gonna get interesting down the stretch to see who can finish with the third best record on the tank
for the lottery.
Take that L on the way out.
Blazers have taken 10 in a row.
Yeah, how many games do they have left? 7?
7.
So
they could end this thing on a 17-game losing streak.
That's tough.
Ain't gonna be no buddy stuff.
I mean, it kind of feels like they have to win one more, right?
Do they?
I mean, kind of. What's the rest of their schedule? Is there one in here that they can get away with? Sacramento, Houston, Golden State, New Orleans, Boston, Washington. Yeah.
Washington is it.
Yeah, because
yeah. Toronto has the current longest losing streak in the NBA.
How many games?
13.
Ooh.
Like they've committed to the tank.
Yeah, they finally committed. It took them a little while, but they're there.
Whoa, Nelly.
Oh, speaking of committing, if you're an NFL team, which running back would you rather commit to long term in the NFL draft? Michigan's Blake Corum or Oregon's Bucky Irving? We'll dive into that next here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
The suck off. There's going to be a suck off in Charlotte.
That's a good song. Man. You can hear the words in that one.
You can hear the last part.
I love Hootie.
He doesn't dance.
And the Blowfish.
She doesn't sing.
Yeah.
It's greatness.
Have you ever cried because your team lost as an adult? Because he says, "Those Dolphins make me cry."
No, but we also know like what dolphins can do. Like they're mean creatures.
Well, he's talking about the Miami Dolphins. It's a professional football team.
The Cryami Dolphins.
That Darius Rucker is a super fan of.
I did not know he was big into Dan Marino.
He's a huge Dan Marino fan.
Then why isn't it
Ventura,
Hootie and the
too?
Dolphins?
We heard
A
about
good
what's going
question.
on in Charlotte.
I guess-
Maybe
is a Blowfish a dolphin?
Maybe no. Maybe
Then what are we
his
doing here?
bassist is not a Dolphins fan. I don't know. I have no idea why they're Hootie and the Blowfish, but he is a big Miami Dolphins honk.
Well, I think they found him in college. Like, isn't that the whole thing? Like, he kind of had a Pitch Perfect thing, I believe.
He was in an a cappella group?
No, like in Pitch
With a-
Perfect, they
with a bunch
find
of
Anna
women?
Kendrick's character when she's singing in the shower. I kind of think that's how he got discovered.
He does sound very shower
singery?
singing.
Yeah.
He
The
is
reverb.
And that's a very odd way to find your lead singers.
Yeah.
Like, were they all just waiting for him to get out of the shower and they're like,
Hey, dude, we were listening to you
Hey,
in the
man.
shower.
I really was picking up what you were putting down in there.
Mm.
And he's like, I don't know where to take this.
It's weird. That loud thud, huh?
Wow. In the shower. Just I assume he was singing Dave Matthews Band.
I'm searching right now. They found each
Maybe
other
Eddie
in
Vedder?
college.
Yeah.
A lot of bands did that.
Yeah, Wikipedia found Rucker singing in the shower of their dorm they shared and were impressed with his vocal ability.
Ooh, I wonder if we're talking about a like a floor level shower or a split room shared shower.
Does this is a floor shower. This is screaming a floor. Like
That's
this is the
tough.
whole floor.
I
I don't know.
had
I don't
one
know
of
who
those.
this is more awkward for. Is this more awkward that Darius Rucker took up the guy's offer, who were like, "Hey, man, we heard you singing in the nudes in the shower."
What school did he go to?
Or is this
South Carolina, he was a Gamecock.
weirder for the bandmates who cornered the guy after being in the shower?
I'm thinking South Carolina back then probably didn't have great facilities there on the dorms. I'm thinking the reverb's probably carrying out into the hallway, and he didn't care
Yeah.
because he could clearly sing.
Well, obviously.
And also, you've got some confidence, you've got some moxie as a college student.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a pop or two. Come back late night.
I think that would be worse if he had a pop or two and then they found him late night singing in the shower. I feel like that's got to be a morning shower
This
thing.
is
No,
morning.
no.
Like they were, hey man, I was like just brushing my teeth, and I didn't mean to, but I heard you singing. You want to join my band?
I mean, look, man, if it's late night and you come back home after, how many of you have done karaoke sober?
I have.
That's not surprising.
I sang the Humpty Dance. It was part of like a football thing at Central. Had to do it.
Yeah, that's not karaoke though. Really.
No, it was. It was karaoke at
No.
orientation.
That's not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
But again,
I'm gonna have to go with
okay.
no, Bob.
Exactly.
I've never been sober and been like, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, so you get a few pops and you come home, you get a little night out crooning, and you're in the shower late night, and it's thin walls. This other group of guys that lives on the floor, they walk
Yeah.
by and they hear it.
Okay.
Do they stop it right then? Maybe, or do they wait till the morning and be like, "Hey, man, was that you in there singing?"
Did they have to like search for him? They're
I
like,
think you-
who is this
Yeah,
mysterious
you really
singer?
have to time this
Like
to
Matt-
not seem creepy when approaching the guy who was singing in the shower.
Well, not
and
just that,
asking
but
him
like,
to join your
I don't
band.
think you typically, and particularly in the era that you and I grew up in, we don't have conversations while naked.
You didn't.
You guys don't do that?
No.
You guys missed
Well, no,
out.
no.
I did.
Let me.
Yeah,
No, no,
that
let me
was
go
a pretty
rephrase
common
that.
thing.
With strangers,
Define stranger.
somebody you hadn't met before.
That is how I met some of my teammates.
Actually, yeah. Like, well, team showers are different.
Yeah, then I'm
Team showers are different.
I'm putting those aside.
Team
like
showers are different.
a shared space, non-team shower.
I'm trying to think. No.
Like the gym, like a public gym.
But that's usually only like old
No.
Steve or something.
But yeah, I'm saying like it's just a weird thing. Like eyes down, don't engage.
Eyes up.
Eyes up, eyes up, eyes up, eyes up.
Yeah,
If you're
eyes
looking
up.
eyes down, I got questions.
No.
I mean
yeah.
eyes down as in
Eyes-
like looking away.
Eyes
Yes.
up,
On
not
the
down.
ceiling.
Yeah. Up at the ceiling.
You should be blinded by the lights.
Yes. Yeah. All right. And yes, this texter is right on the Vancouver Ford text line. Hootie and the Gamecocks. This is a missed opportunity.
Yeah, Hootie the Gamecocks is
That's more metal.
Yeah.
That's more metal. But Hootie and the Gamecocks, that plays here. I'm in.
HGC.
Yeah.
I like
Hootie and the Blowfish is still great. That's
Yeah.
great. That's a good band name.
It is a good band name.
Yeah. Just don't know how they got there. But then again, they found their lead singer in the shower. So, look, I'm not wired the same way.
I
as
feel
these
like
guys
all
are.
band names are either great or awful, and then therefore great. And they usually come about as part of something very stupid.
Well, your music makes your band name great or not.
Yeah.
Like you can't have like a great band name and then your band sucks.
No. Like, what's an Aerosmith?
They started
Yeah,
as the
you gotta be
Wolf
good.
Brothers.
That sucks.
That does suck.
Unless
Hootie
your
and the
last name
Blowfish
is Wolf.
Way better. And there is no Hootie in that band.
No. Hootie and the Wolves? That
No.
doesn't work.
No, Hootie and the Blowfish. That
Yeah.
works. Plays.
Hootie
I
and the
think
Gamecocks
Rucker's
works.
nickname is Hootie. That's what I'm
Sweet.
reading here on internet.
Well, yeah, because
We
he's
used
in
to have
Hootie
good-
and the Blowfish.
Well, not only that, we used to have good nicknames.
Hootie
We,
woo!
we were a proper country.
So the Blowfish
Skull
is
for
a
the killers.
nickname of one of the college friends. So I don't think he's in the band, but there was a college friend who was nicknamed Blowfish.
Like I said, we used to have cooler nicknames.
What do you got to do to get that name?
You do the Jonah Hill in Wolf of Wall Street.
I don't.
Is a blowfish the same thing as a
Oh,
pufferfish?
Yes.
Yeah, with the spikes on the
Yeah.
inside, all that stuff.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah. I don't know.
like because they're like, how do
Great
you?
nicknames are having a buddy with a great nickname it's clutch.
It's great.
Yeah.
It matters, but also like, how do you get a blowfish nickname? Like, I'm genuinely interested in that. Like, do they have a severe shellfish allergy?
No, like usually it's just like your name kind of sounds like it. I don't know what name you'd have that sounds like Blowfish, but like I had a buddy, well, a teammate, former teammate. His name was Seal.
Fish blow.
I still don't know how he got his name.
Did he have a scarred
Seal.
face?
No, he was a massive human being.
Did he clap?
No, no,
Did he slightly bark?
no,
Or,
he was
or-
just Seal. And then we had Scally. That's a good one. Like
Mm.
that's a good one. But his last name was Scalamari, so he was Scally.
and it wasn't calamari.
No,
So
he was Scally.
according to AmericanSongwriter.com, it's a nickname of two different college buddies. So one wore big round glasses,
Mm.
made him look like an owl, and the other had big puffy cheeks that made him look like a blowfish. So Darius Rucker, I guess, used to have big glasses, and then one of his buddies had big puffy cheeks. So instead of chipmunk, they did blowfish.
See,
that's
there we go.
that's a South Carolina education right now. That's what that is on display.
No, I think that's
Puffy cheeks. You go with blowfish.
Yeah, I could see that.
Nah, I feel like
I
we're
could see that.
skipping a few steps there.
I could see that because chipmunk's too easy. Chipmunk is too easy.
Call him
too easy.
Chip?
Yeah, too easy. Too easy.
I don't like this.
You got to get into the weeds a little bit. Get into the weeds.
Apparently, they walked into a party, so Rucker saw these two individuals and said, "Look, it's Hootie and the Blowfish," and then their name has been that ever since.
Yeah. Hey, how about this? What if he had the text line? What if he was? What if he's a chubby guy and he had the spiked up hair? That's Blowfish. Worthy of it.
I'm now Googling animals with puffy cheeks to see if there's a better one.
No. I
Yeah.
think that's a good one.
Yeah, look, we got wombats,
No.
hamsters,
No.
platypus,
No. What?
bunnies.
Hootie and the Platypus
Yeah, that's kind of working for me.
No.
rolls off the tongue.
Hootie and the Platy? No. Blowfish is good. I like it. I'm in. I'm in.
No.
Don't nickname shame.
I am.
No.
There's got to be a line you can draw here. All right, whatever. draw a line in this segment. All right, coming up, we'll actually talk about the thing we teased before with Daniel Jeremiah asking,
Oh, yeah.
which running back would you rather have going forward?
It's a tough question.
Danny and Dusty. But first, here's the big wheel bets of the Sports Center update. If you're an NFL team, which running back would you look at long term for your franchise? Michigan's Blake Corum or Oregon's Bucky Irving?
On the surface, I think a lot of people would just go Blake Corum on the national level because of the workhorse back that he was last year at Michigan and really has been. 1,200 yards rushing. He was 258 carries. I mean, dude was the epitome of what a workhorse back is. And playing in Jim Harbaugh's offense, obviously, you're going to get so much more of the workload, and you are going to be highlighted as a workhorse NFL style back. Bucky Irving, though, is a guy that if you look at what he did, he only had 100 fewer rushing yards, and he had 100 fewer carries for Oregon. And I think what makes this really interesting is the question on the surface is Blake Corum or Bucky Irving. It totally, and we talk about this with quarterbacks all the time, but running backs, the fit is so important too. And stylistically, what are you trying to do? Because I think one of the great things that Bucky Irving did at Oregon is everybody's criticizing Bo Nix for being that check down quarterback. A lot of those were to Bucky Irving. And his ability as a back out, that translates NFL style more to the production of a second and third down back. And what he is going to be able to do as far as be both a receiving and a running threat. Like, I don't think we gave Bucky enough credit for how good of a back out he was and he turned into with Bo Nix in that feel of when to release and finding those soft spots. That's a tougher thing than people give running backs credit for. But I think both guys, what you're going to look at is, all right, how do they stand up in the NFL in the world of pass pro? Because Blake Corum he can run between the tackles.
He's a truck.
But both of them are small.
Both short.
They're both short, compact. I think you're looking at Bucky is going to be hovering right around, 195, 200 pounds, whereas Blake Corum built for a little bit more stability because he's about 215, but both of them are 5'8", and they are short kings.
Short little lads.
But stylistically so different. And I think, depending on your fit in your scheme, there is a conversation to be had about Bucky Irving over Blake Corum. But if you're asking me just on the surface and all things being equal, I'd probably still go with Blake Corum. But the injury history and the fact that he came off a major knee injury and wasn't the same after. I mean, it's still, though, Blake Corum is built for NFL style and in the punishment that you take. But Bucky Irving, man, he's got the potential to have a very long career in the NFL because of the physicality he has when he runs with the ball, but also being the back out who can catch the ball too. It's a really good question, man.
Interestingly enough, I would not have guessed this. Blake Corum tested better on the athletic stuff than Bucky did.
Absolutely. No, he did. And Bucky didn't do everything at the combine, the RAS score that they pump out. Bucky was not good at the combine, but
he popped up to the 65th percentile.
Yeah,
I thought that'd be surprising because the game tape on Bucky, and you and I talked about this during the Duck season. Everybody knows me. I'm not the Duck guy. Even I was looking at Bucky and going, he might be the most important guy on that team because of everything that you talked about. His ability to work in pass pro, his ability to catch out of the backfield, his ability to actually run between the tackles when they needed him to. And when his ankle rolled, you saw the Ducks struggle. And I think that was a really important thing. Very similar to, now, Michigan looked at Ohio State and said, or Penn State and said, we're going to run the ball every play. Good luck stopping it.
Yep.
I think that had more to do with their offensive line than anything else. But beyond that, Corum, not this past season, but the season before, was special. He was a Heisman candidate. This year he was not. And it wasn't because Michigan shifted and J.J. McCarthy was more important and they were getting the ball to Roman Wilson. It's because he shredded his knee and he's not the same guy he once was. And that's just the reality. And I think if you're talking about who right now, if all things being equal, I think Blake Corum wins out. But I don't think Blake's going to age well because he's already, and I like Corum, I just don't think he's going to age well in the NFL where the wear and tear is already appearing before he even gets there.
Yeah, the meniscus injury, and he was fading at the end of the season. You saw that. They were just so damn good and so talented around him. I think that you also will look at it from projecting forward, if you're an NFL team, just the workload that Blake Corum had overall, because you're talking Bucky Irving splitting time in that backfield, whether it was with, Noah Whittington or Jordan James and Jaden Lamar late in the year. 180 carries, having 100 fewer carries. I mean, the carry
It's
threshold
a
is
lot of wear and tear.
it's a very real thing when you look at NFL running backs, and it's not just 258 this year. It was 247 as a junior, and then 144 as a sophomore, and then very light work as a freshman.
You only have so much tread on that tire.
Bucky, you're looking at 186, 156, and then 133.
So probably got close to 400 less carries.
Right around there.
Good God.
Yeah. And the production was just as high, especially the last 2 years.
Now,
as a
stylistically,
receiver.
I think the production isn't quite apples to apples because of the systems, but
No, but projecting into the NFL when you're
Yes.
talking about third or fourth round picks,
yes,
that and because that's where they are.
Because
Neither one of
stylist-
them are going
yeah.
to be the
Day
first two
one or two,
backs
yeah.
off the board even. But stylistically, if you're sitting there and you are a Kansas City, a Bucky Irving, you look at Kansas City and you go, hell yeah, especially with Clyde Edwards-Helaire being gone.
Well, no.
you have that third down
Actually,
back coming out.
they
of the
just brought him
backfield.
back.
Oh, they did.
I was just gonna say they Chiefs are bringing back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's where I was gonna transition. To this.
Miami is another big one. I think in a Chargers with Jim Harbaugh, I think when you have a quarterback like a Justin Herbert, it's the system that will make the success of Irving. Like you cannot put him in certain systems and be like, yeah, he's an every a ready-made back for any system in the NFL. That's not who Bucky Irving is. In the correct system with the right fit around him, that dude's going to thrive and have a really long career.
How many picks does the Chargers have in that 4th, 5th round area?
They only have 7 overall, but look, as we get closer and closer to draft day, I mean, I think that New England, Arizona, and LA in that 3, 4, 5 range, all 3 of those teams are going to want to compile more picks because they have more holes than
they have picks.
And they're going to want to absolutely grow. And as you see us get closer to draft day with the likes of Minnesota, Vegas, they're wanting to move up. I think there's a potential that all 3 of those teams at 3, 4, and 5, they slide down in the draft. And we could see multiple trades within that first round. This first round has the potential to have a lot of action in it, which all just tells us that nothing's going to happen. It's going to be status quo. The Patriots are going to take quarterback 3, Marvin Harrison Jr. going to Arizona, and then
Just
Joe
chalk
Alt
all the way
going
through.
Joe Alt going to the Chargers.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
And trying to mix it up. And Minnesota and Vegas are and Denver, because all 3 of them are playing chicken with each other because they're all slotted 11, 12, 13 in draft order.
Trying to extort.
And they all
value
need
out
a
of the other.
quarterback.
Yeah.
They all need a quarterback moving forward. So how do they move up and get that guy, or are you just going to hope and pray that he falls to you?
I genuinely believe that Denver and Las Vegas are both going to trade back. Because I don't think they look at the draft board and go, nobody else is taking that quarterback here. And if they do, are we really that bummed about it?
That's easy to say now, but when you don't have a quarterback,
Look,
it's a lot tougher situation to be in because you have Vegas is a perfect example of this. Antonio Pierce made no bones about it. They do not want Aiden O'Connell to be their quarterback next year.
All right, who's a potential free agent right now as a quarterback? Who? So you're looking Tannehill,
Gabbert,
Hoyer,
Blaine
Wentz.
No, Wentz just
Oh,
signed.
that's right.
Wentz just signed.
That's how I know that Gabbert's a free agent.
Barkley, Matt.
No.
Steve?
I mean, no. Ryan Tannehill is the only guy that you'll squint at and you'll be like, yeah, if you have to do it for a year.
And that's kind of where I'm at with this. Like, if you have to run it for a year and you're not going forward with your quarterback anyways, I could see a Tannehill silver and black.
This is a tough putt, dude.
I mean,
and this is but I get it. And I get it with, being in that number 2 or 3 in the draft order. Look, we're looking at the NFL's quarterback evaluation process. It's so damn hard to do because it's a 50% whiff rate in the first round. 50% you miss on your first round quarterbacks. So
if you're the Raiders, it's 100%.
In this draft, you're looking at it and you're going, dear Lord, after Caleb Williams, I honestly believe the gap between Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, it's not as dramatic as it was, at the beginning of the draft process.
Bigger gap.
They've got, like, Bo Nix has got, his shortcomings are connecting downfield, and it's not the power of his arm, it's accuracy downfield. Michael Penix, it's everything underneath and being late to reads in the middle of the field and short, which you cannot do in the National Football League. You will absolutely get rolled if you try to force a ball in. You're inaccurate and you're slow in your progression in the short and the intermediate stuff. But dude's got a howitzer attached to his shoulder, and there's a lot of guys that say, well, I can coach that other stuff.
And that's always the argument is the tools you have to work with versus the platform that you have to work with.
And it's a great thing. We were talking about Jalen McMillan or Jalen Polk the other day.
Mhm.
And Jalen Polk has a little bit of the dropsies, right? And we had a texture. It's easy to get the dropsies when your quarterback is late to you, though, right? On the
True.
underneath stuff. Because Dunze, McMillan, those guys were on the outside. Polk was a guy that he was feasting in the interior. Well, if your quarterback's late to you, alligator arms are a real thing, especially
You don't
if
wanna
your
die.
quarterback's late.
Do you want to die?
No.
So,
No.
I'll ask you this. Bigger gap from Caleb Williams to everyone else or from Jaden Daniels, Drake May to Bo Nix?
Caleb Williams to everybody
Okay.
else. That gap is bigger in my opinion.
Okay.
Like I might be totally wrong and eat my words on this one, but Jaden Daniels has two of the best receivers in all of college football who were stretching defenses vertically, and teams were forced to play two high safeties, and there was four guys out of the play when he took off and he ran a lot. That makes it a lot easier. It's not going to be as easy to run as Jaden Daniels had. And there's still a lot of questions about, all right, when you're not throwing to and having such a steep advantage at the receiver position over everybody else, is he going to be the guy that he was at LSU, or is he going to be the guy he was at Arizona State? And the leadership questions, I think, are still there. Because it was an S show at Arizona State. Not wholly his fault. Herm Edwards had a ton to do with that.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that part of it figures out. But it is interesting to see because I'm with you on the drop off. I just don't know how much that next level is, and the fact that JJ McCarthy keeps ending up in other discussions makes my eyebrow twitch.
They love the way he interviews.
Yeah.
NFL scouts
Dude, he's a sharp dude.
love the way he interviews.
He's a sharp dude, and it doesn't hurt when Jim Harbaugh is praising you at every chance he gets.
Because he wants you to take him because he's not good.
Hell yeah, drum up interest so
Oh,
you
yeah.
can trade back, compile more picks.
Babe.
Harbaugh
you
doesn't
want
need
it?
a quarterback.
Number 5, come on up. Come get it.
He wants to feast on a couple of those 11 receivers that he has and maybe some offensive linemen that are deep in this draft.
All right, coming up next, we'll feast on preparing you to hand it off to Isaac Suk. Come here on Danny and Dusty, today, the fan. for The Observer, has tweeted out, Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller, and Grant Williams are all questionable for tomorrow's game against the Portland Trailblazers.
Oh, buddy. Here we go.
Vasa
There's going to be a
Micic-
suck-off in Charlotte.
It is. Vasa Micic is as doubtful with a right shoulder strain. And in case you're wondering, earlier in the show, I mentioned the San Antonio Spurs have ruled Jeremy Sohan and Devin Vassell out for the season as well.
Uh-oh.
What we got here is the old standoff. The suck-off. Not sure.
Again, I can't wait. I cannot wait to watch that game tomorrow because of those factors of which force of nature is going to give first. The one where you have this intrinsic motivation to win and compete anytime you're on the floor, or the fact that both of your teams are actively trying to lose basketball games.
I mean, it's what's more important.
What do
The
we
health
see?
of the franchise is better going forward, getting better draft odds.
Okay, in a game like this, the over or the under?
I mean,
What do you-
it's
what
so
do you
mu-
bet-
So much depends on the line.
What do you do in a game like this? The initial thought, Will Ortner, he gave the thumbs down.
Under.
He's
What's
going
the,
on
what's
the
the
under.
line?
I don't know yet. Hold on, let me check. I'll check the old.
It's 400.
It is not 400 points. The over under is not set at 400 points. I can assure you.
350.
I can assure you of that.
Can you with scoring in the NBA these days?
I can assure you, it is not 400. I will
Probably 224.
213. Ooh. I think I'm going over.